Welcome to section 3 of our course, Working with PyKX Tables. Now, PyKX Tables are one of the most important data structures that you'll be working with in PyKX, so we have an entire section dedicated to learning the basics of how to work with these tables. In this section, we'll go over basic construction, how to create your table, exploration and interrogation to understand more about what's held in your table, doing some indexing and filtering on our tables using lock and iLock, filtering, sorting, learn how to use group by upon a table. Finally, we'll end off with doing some table analytics and learning how to do joins and merges upon our PyKX tables. So let's dive in a little further. Now, first, how do we actually create a table? We'll use a couple different methods to do that. Number one, kx.table, as you can see in this code example here, we specify that we want to create a table, and then we can pass in the columns and rows that we want to create. Or we can import or read a CSV file and take that directly into a PyKX table using the read CSV method. Now, once we have our table created, we can find some particular attributes about that table. So say how many rows are held in that table, we can use .shape to find that out. What are the columns in our table? .columns. Use .dtypes to understand what are the data types held within each column. And then finally, we can use methods like .head to get a understanding of what our table actually looks like. And .head will display the first 5 rows of our table. Now, after that, there's likely some pre-processing that you'll have to do in your typical data science workflow. So we may need to rename a certain column. So we'll use .rename to rename a column in our PyKX table. And then there also may be some duplicates in a table. So we'll use drop duplicates to ensure there aren't any duplicated rows. We'll learn how to create a new column, and then we will learn how to do some interrogation upon our table to understand are all of the values truthy within our table, and to actually get access to certain rows and columns in our table that we're interested in. So we can use .at and .get to go ahead and find specific values of interest in our PyKX table. So once we have our table created and we have a good understanding of what is within our table, we will then learn to do indexing, slicing, and filtering upon our PyKX tables. First, we'll start with learning how to use lock, which is label-based indexing, and then iLock, which is integer position-based indexing. And finally, we'll add some filtering onto these indexing operations. And next, we'll look at how to sort our tables, and we can sort them by column name and in a descending or ascending order. After that, we'll learn how to use group by, where we group data based on values within columns, and then we can apply operations to those groups. So this is very handy. For example, if we wanted to find the total volume based on a date, we can say group all of the rows in this table by their date, and then sum up the volume column for each date. We'll learn more table analytics, including aggregations, meaning we can apply multiple operations to our table at once. And we'll end this section learning how to apply joins and merges to our PyKX tables. So this is where you take rows and combine them from different tables based on a related column between those tables. So in PyKX, there's a variety of different merges and joins that you can do, just like you can with Pandas data frames, but it will be much more efficient using PyKX. And in particular, it's really good for when we're dealing with large amounts of time series data, for example, capital markets data. And in this case, we're going to be focusing on a specific kind of a merge called an as of merge. So we'll dive into that in the code next. See you there.